Thank you all for being here today for our new webinar, protecting your digital presence. So we're talking about more on the security side of your online presence in terms of social media, Google listing, website, just making sure you have full access to everything across the board and probably know how to access it. So yeah, thank you all for being here today. You can throw a one in the chat if you are ready to go. That'll be great. So yeah, so you can throw ones in the chats. Awesome. We got some ones going on. Perfect. All right, so we will get this party started. So again, house rules for those of you that haven't been in a webinar before. So again, turn off your microphone, turn off your phones. Just focus here for about 30 minutes, and hopefully you get a lot of value out of this. And also, I'm appreciative of your time being here today. So we have a Q&A feature along with the chat feature, whichever is easiest. And so make sure that you're jumping in there, asking any questions that you may have, and I'll do my best to answer those here live with you. All right. So today's training, again, will be broken down into a few steps. So we'll be talking about owning your digital presence, making sure you know what that means, how to own everything that you have online. The second is going to be the steps to protect your online presence, kind of what that entails and means. 3 is going to be what to do if you get disabled or suspended or anything like that. What steps you want to take there. And then the 4, we'll be talking about more about the website and reputation management. So protecting yourself in terms of making sure you seem organic, seem real. So that way, if anyone is trying to impersonate your business, anything like that, it'd be a pretty easy tell that it's not, in fact, you. So yeah, we'll be going over those 4 different big things today. So again, hopefully you're excited to hear about this. So last year, towards the end of the year, right around this time, there was this big situation where about 1 million Facebook users got hacked in terms of their different accounts. And that was just one singular event that took place each and every month. And I'm sure for all of you that own a Facebook business account, I mean, you see these messages come through. A lot of them are spam messages. But those links, if you click on those links, you're going to get hacked pretty quickly. It's pretty scary how much can happen and damage that can take place if you do get hacked. And so there's different ways that these people are getting creative of making things look pretty realistic, of it being really Facebook reaching out or whatever it may be. But again, we'll be talking about those different things, how to tell if it is real or not. Because again, there are times when it is in fact Facebook that does reach out to you. But again, that's going to be few and far between. So we'll go over different ways that you can tell if it is going to be spam related or not. So first, we're going to begin by focusing on your domain itself and your website. So first, we're going to be going over 4 things that I'm really hoping that you know and you understand. So first is, who is your domain provider? So I want to make sure that you all know even what that is or where to access that. So does everyone know what a domain provider is? So a few people that don't know. So perfect. So the domain provider is going to be a place like GoDaddy or Google Domains, which is now acquired by Squarespace. So Squarespace is doing the domains there. And then there's a bunch of other like Namecheap and these other listings where you go and you type in a domain and you go to buy it. So that way now you can link your website to it. That's going to be your domain provider. So it's very important to understand that you are the individual that purchased your domain. If you're like, hey, I actually have no idea where this is or how to even look it up. So if you go into Google, you type in whois, WHOIS as one word, and then look up, then that first link, you'll be able to type in it'll lead you to a website that you can type in a domain, and it'll let you see where the domain is registered. And so with that, you'll be able to know that, oh, okay, it is in fact with GoDaddy. And I remember purchasing that a while back. I just need to remember my username and password. Or something else appears there and you're like, I have no idea who that is, like what that is. Then I'd reach back out to like maybe whoever created your website. They would most likely have to know where the domain is, because that's the only way that the website can tie together. So that's going to be very important to be able to understand and know your domain provider and where that is. And then within the domain itself, if you're paying someone to handle it, perfect, because it can get confusing. But there are things in there that can have added protection to your domain and keep things a little more private, that always I'll recommend clicking on and doing. Sometimes there's an extra fee associated with it, but usually it's very minimal. But having that extra layer of security is very beneficial. So yeah, so understanding who the domain provider is, and if not, type it in Whois, look it up. Then knowing what your username and password is to log into this place. And then the very simple thing is it set to auto renew? And if it is, making sure that your payment method is an up-to-date payment method. I know there's times where you're dealing with fraud and you're like, okay, I need to go change the cards across the board, and domain name is very unfrequently thought about, because again, it's usually set on auto renew. It happens once a year. It's a very minimal fee that takes place, so you don't even think about it. But that's one where for certain websites, they have very, very poor protocols to let you know that, hey, if you don't renew, the domain name goes away and the website pretty much goes down, and like there's no warning. So I would make sure that you're aware at least of what date your auto renew is set up to, and then making sure that that payment method is up to date, regardless of if it's an expiring card or a card that maybe you no longer use. I would ensure that you understand what that is, that time frame, because that could be a world of hurt if maybe you went like maybe you never even check your website very often. You go like a month and your website was just down this whole time. Eventually someone else purchased your website domain. Now you're kind of handcuffed. You pretty much have to purchase a new domain at that point, or maybe you pay a fee to that person that bought it. Again, not something you want to ever have to deal with. So highly recommend just staying on top of something very simple as knowing where your domain is and making sure it's renewable. All right. And next is, do you own your website? So it's a tricky question to understand. From typically it'll be whoever's managing your website will be able to give you access to the back end of the website. So one popular website builder is going to be WordPress, and it's, I say probably 70% of websites built on the web are built with WordPress. It's very customizable, but also there's a lot of technical detail that you can easily break your website. So that's why a lot of times a lot of website managers don't give access right away, because they're worried that you're going to go in there and mess something up. Now, granted, you want to at least have a viewing access, but typically an admin access. So that way, at any time, if for whatever reason you part with your website management provider, you can easily just delete their user, transfer over everything that's done to your main admin user, and then if you have a new website provider, you can just quickly add them in there. That way you can keep your website, makes things a lot more easy accessible. Any content, all yours. There's nothing that is going to be labeled proprietary of what any website providers are offering. I know each website provider, they might have just a different business model where it allows their business to be a little bit stickier by saying that their website can't really be transferred to anyone else. But to me, that means that you're even renting your website this entire time. And that's not ideal as an owner. You don't want to be renting anything that you're doing. So that ideally, especially a website in and of itself, you want to make sure that you are the owner of it. Okay. And then another way to tell is going to be if you can transfer the ownership over for the website. So that's like what it talks about in terms of the users, just deleting users, adding users in there. It allows the easy transferability of access to the back end of the website. If you're not able to log into the back end of your website, one way you can find out is you type in your URL and then /wp-admin. Again, your website would have to have been built by WordPress. The majority of websites are, so it'll do to like a kind of a login screen. But there's some websites out there that are just built with straight code or whatever it may be, and so it won't have that same backend access right away. Typically, those are going to be the ones though that are going to be a lot harder to figure out transferring over ownership, and more than likely they're not happening. So just FYI on that end, right? So any questions there so far from anyone in regards to both domain name and website? Oh, so yeah, that website again, to look up the domain is going to be it's a little bit longer of a hyperlink. I don't remember exactly what it is, but if you type in Whois as one word and then lookup in Google, that first link there will allow you to click on it. Then that website, you can type in the domain name, you press enter, it'll show you everything in terms of like where it's registered, who the registrar is. That's just like the name of like GoDaddy or something like that. It'll show all that in there, so that way you can at least have a direction to go to figure out where your domain name is, who may have accessed it, something like having the proper, I guess, information to then give to someone else to help figure it out for you. Perfect. So the next thing is going to be, do you own your Facebook? So I don't know how many of you have ever had to try to add users into Facebook before, especially if like there's a business coming on helping you with social media, but it can be an absolute pain if you're not the true owner of the Facebook. So what that means is that you were the initial creator of the Facebook business page. So for whatever reason, Facebook makes it very difficult to transfer over a business page to another user and making them the ultimate admin. Lots of hoops and loops, and most times it doesn't work, like in terms of you being the true owner. So there's different workarounds to give people proper access, but not always the best access that you want to be able to have. There's certain transfer protocols that you have to go through to make sure that it gets to the person the right way. And a lot of times it's not followed, it's not done. People think that, oh, if I just add this person in as an admin user and delete out myself, I'm good to go. Unfortunately, that's not the case with Facebook. It's not that straightforward and simple. And so you want to make sure that you are like the true owner of your Facebook page. So first and foremost, you want to at least make sure you have admin rights. So if you type in your Facebook business page, and you should be able to switch the version of how you're viewing the page, whether it be viewing it as a normal person that's just viewing a business page, or as an admin. And then there's like a switch toggle that would be there. If that switch toggle isn't there, that means you definitely do not have admin rights. You want to make sure that you figure out how to get admin rights to your page. But hopefully at this point you at least have that, and that'll take you to a portion where now you can view the backend settings, viewing access of the page, clicking through there. So that's where you'll start to understand and go to seeing like who has page access to your backend. So you want to make sure you understand at least who has that, who's in there, whoever's in there should be there, etc. And then separately, you want to make sure that you have an ad account created. So an ad account is separate from just clicking on boost a post. So you can boost the post through your personal profile, but the ad account is something where you're able to be more specialized with the ad and creation. And then you can give people access to that as well. So, and it allows another layer of security in terms of your ad, because again, your payment method is going to be tied to these different things. Ideally, you want your payment method tied to your ad account in of itself for the business, rather than tied to your personal page. Personal pages are easier to hack than the business page itself. So that's where I want to make sure that you have those things taking place. There's business accounts, ad accounts, linking your Instagram within the business account. A lot of different little steps. And again, if you have more intricate questions, please let us know after this. Happy to help and understand the world of social media and when it comes to Facebook and the access there. But just ensure that you have at minimum admin rights. So if you're not sure who created it, you want to make sure you at least have admin rights. Okay. So do you own your ad account? So another question is to understand if you have access to your Google Ad account, and that's creation there. So a lot of times for a lot of agencies like ourselves, we create it within kind of our master account. It makes it a lot easier to reduplicate accounts rather than going in and accessing what someone else has. More than likely, there's a lot of changes and edits that would need to be done there. It's a lot easier to replicate what maybe has already been seen as working across multiple accounts. But what we do is we give access for our clients to be able to read it and see what at least is going on if they have questions, and just to help better give more information and understanding of what goes on in the back end of a Google Ad account. And so that's where, again, you're able to transfer over access of ownership to a Google Ad account. It's a little bit trickier of a process, but again, can be done. And you want to make sure that you're being treated again as an owner of the Google Ad account as that you are doing. And could you be locked out? So there's if you don't accept an invite to your Google Ad account within it's like 30 days, something like that, then it just kind of gets remitted as if it didn't happen. So you want to make sure that you at least are logged in and can have access there. But super easy to kind of re-request on the back end there. Okay. And so Facebook Protect is turned on. So again, as we circle back to social media, so if you don't know Facebook Protect, I'm not going to read through all these words here. The Facebook Protect, it was a newer thing that Facebook launched last year in terms of ensuring that There's just certain security parameters around your Facebook account, both your personal account and your business account. And so a lot of it has to reside around two-factor authentication. So I don't know, for a lot of you, for your business pages, a lot of business pages got temporarily suspended in terms of boosting posts, creating ads, things like that, just for a simple reason of two-factor authentication not being created for your personal account and for your business account. So you want to make sure that this is in fact created. Yes, dealing with two-factor account is a hassle to deal with, but it is a necessary step to ensure that your account doesn't get suspended by what Facebook is doing there. You can do a security key. There's a different third-party app. I know not having another app on the phone is not ideal. So typically I just go with the text message code being sent to your phone. But again, whatever you're most comfortable with, I would definitely make sure that this is done. So someone asked, is FB Protect automatically turned on? So now they have switched it to like you should be being asked two-factor authentication right away. But if you're for new pages that are created, but if your page has been around for a while, it's not something that was automatically turned on. So it would be, you would have to go through your settings and go to the two-factor authentication portion of it. It's right after you go to the settings, it's right there where it says security, and you'll easily see it through the pipeline in terms of finding this two-factor authentication. Other question is, what is our protocol for handling security incidents, and do you have a response plan in place in case of a data breach? Yeah, so I mean, we'll be talking about kind of the protocols to take if something does get hacked. That does mean dealing with Facebook support, which I won't go into detail of how lovely it is to deal with them. But regardless, that is who you have to work with and go through. I'll go over certain steps and things that we've seen and have to experience just a few times before, just from clients accidentally clicking on a link that came through Messenger and things like that, and then dealing with the hack. So this is just, hopefully we can combat that and make sure everyone is aware of what links they shouldn't be clicking on. But if it does happen, we'll go over the kind of the steps that you need to take when things like that do get hacked. All right. So two-factor authentication, again, for those that don't know, it's simply where when you try to log in, before you log in, there's just a code, typically a text message that gets sent to your phone that you then type in on the computer. You have to do it within a certain amount of time to make sure that you can log into the device. It's a good layer of protection because, again, it's a code that gets sent to your personal phone, which more likely, I mean, everyone has their phone on them all the time. So that way, there's no one else that can really receive that code. When you have like a bigger team that maybe needs to access one profile, that can be cumbersome. So there's different things that, I mean, we leverage our own CRM at times to send a code to one number across the board. Then anyone can access and see on the team when they need to access something. But again, I don't know how many of you ever need to deal with anything like that. So typically just have it go to your personal phone, and then making sure that, again, you're the main person that has access that way. So like I mentioned already, that physical security key, that's something where like there's like a long length code that you save off somewhere. Again, that you'd have to, there's different security password tools that you can save them in. I haven't seen this used very often at all. It's typically between these two. So third-party apps, there's just different apps that you can just download on your phone. Some places like, say for some health insurance providers, you have to download this particular app that then sends the code. It just is what it is. But yeah, that's where you go into the app, and then there'll be a code that then expires like every 30 seconds and changes. And so then you just type it in whatever code is there. But again, like I mentioned, text message is going to be the best, easiest way typically to go. All right. So this is where to go, just to give you a little face a little bit here, to give you an idea. So if you go to settings, security, and login, and then you can see Facebook Protect, and you can see if it's on or off or not. Okay, and that's just a simple check that you're able to do there. And so yeah, Facebook protection is the confirming identity, setting up login alerts, all those different things, just to, again, queue and set up the security ahead of time. So when you see like, oh, someone's logging in from a place that you don't typically log in from, you'll get an alert that then you're like, hey, is this a place that should be logging into my Facebook login or not? And you can easily tell it no, and that person will get kicked out of being logged into your user right away. But then more like then you go through certain protocols to change your password, things like that. All right. So any questions so far in terms of Facebook Protect and the logins and the security there? Okay, perfect. And nothing yet. Again, as you have questions, please feel free to reach out and throw it in the chat, throw in the Q&A. I'll happy to answer. So how do I know if it's spam or real? Perfect. So again, I don't know how many of you often field your business account messenger, but if you haven't in a while, go in there. Guarantee you'll see examples of exactly what this is in terms of spam or real messages. So a lot of times the scammers will be pretending to be Facebook support of some kind, saying, hey, there's some malicious things going on with your account, or like we see that you have broken the guidelines of Facebook, and if you don't submit an appeal, your account will be suspended, or something to kind of create fear and urgency. It's going to be along the lines of the message that we even have like their name as like Facebook business support or something, and they have like a logo of like Facebook. Like it looks very like I've seen a couple that looks very legit, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is scary that people are doing this. But typically, even right when you tap on the link itself, yes, there's certain places to fill in information, but even without that, at times people then have access just to like the cache settings of your. I don't know how all the ins and outs of how it works. I just know it can happen really quickly, and so just be careful with any links that just seem like a bunch of random letters and numbers that then get sent your way. Typically, that's going to be a scam, and really, again, if they're pretending to be Facebook support, they initially always reach out via email. That's going to be the number one way to tell that it's them or not. There has been one time that I've experienced Facebook reach out through Messenger, but I had previous messages with their business support, and so then I could tell that yes, it was in fact Facebook support reaching back out, because it was really them based on the historical conversation that was there. But typically it's always going to be email, and you will always have to you'll submit a ticket on the back end with Facebook, and then they'll email you back, and then if needed, then they take it to Messenger to make things a little bit easier. But again, they give you all the protocols and steps just to ensure that you know that it is them. A lot of you, I know, changing passwords are a hassle and a pain, but don't use the same password everywhere, especially even on your Facebook account. Make sure you're changing it at least every 6 months to something slightly different that you're not really using anywhere else. There's basic password generator things that you can just type in, and gives you random letters and numbers, and you can copy and paste that in there. I know that can be hard to remember though, so if you want like something simpler, I mean, just make sure that you're adjusting and changing those things, because if not, again, you just run the risk of getting hacked down the road. And maybe if that password, Facebook password, is also your bank password, and I can just snowball from there. So let's just make sure that you're staying up to date and making sure your passwords are updated. Okay. So how to handle a hacked account. So you can submit a ticket with Facebook. So the screen will end up looking like this when you go to the kind of the help center of Facebook, and there'll be a prompt that then will look just like this. You go through the steps in terms of submission and figuring out kind of what happened, and then they kind of help make sure that gets activated. The timing of when they let you know is not always ideal. Obviously, it's usually high urgency for you as a user. For them, I don't know how they weigh what's important, what's not. So just make sure you're trying to be patient as possible. If it's affecting, like say, customers or things, make sure that you're letting them know that to be aware of just what the situation is, what may have happened. Because that's the best outcome and situation that you can do there. Okay. So customer support, I want to make sure I wrote down here, kindness goes a long way. So I've run into it before with dealing with Facebook store, where and on a certain day, my fuse is short. And I cannot deal with this runaround consistently every single time. So it's always important to try to take a step back. The same with, hey, we'll talk about here in a little bit in terms of like, hey, a bad review that comes through and responding in a professional manner. Again, it's just about swallowing pride and making sure you're just being kind, because someone is more willing to help you if you're being kind versus if you're not and just being angry and upset. And it's like, so Facebook's not a small little company where it's like, oh yeah, I care about this personal relationship. They're a very big company. You're just another name to them that submitted a ticket. So it's just like, oh, this person's angry. All right, I'll get to them when I get to them. Like, there's no repercussions there for them. You really know nowhere else to go. So just do your best to be patient and be try to be as helpful as possible there. So someone asked a question: should we have a plan for regular security awareness training to keep employees informed about the latest cyber threats and safe online practices? I for an auto repair shop, I don't know if that level is necessary unless you have multiple people accessing certain technological things that you have. Say your point of sale software. It'd be a good idea if there's multiple users that are having to log in there, that they're adjusting their passwords and whatnot at like 6-month cadence. Just usually these softwares are automatically suggesting it after a certain amount of time, but just make sure that those things are taking place. When it comes to Facebook and that, unless there's multiple people within the shop having access to it, I don't think it's a needed step. Just it'd be, honestly, if you had a question about it, just reach out to us, and I'm happy to share in terms of just the latest things that we're hearing that we're seeing. I mean, obviously, we try to do webinars like this in terms of just bringing up awareness and making sure that you are as up and up as we are, and then making sure as we get new information. Again, I posted into the Facebook group and go live if needed, just making sure people are aware of what is going on and going around. So I don't know if regular like classes are needed. I think more of those regular classes are going to be more for like training of the team and their technical advancement there. So, but yeah, great question. Thank you. So now that kind of segues though into reputation management of bad reviews. So this is in terms of protecting your online presence, that you're not just getting flagged for a bunch of bad reviews. We have run into a few situations where there was one bad customer that then told all their friends and they leave bad reviews, and you just get this huge wave of 1 stars. And at times it sets in a little bit of panic, like, oh my goodness, look at our average Google rating just plummet. And a low Google rating is not good, but there's certain ways to combat it. Thankfully, working with Google to do these things is a lot easier than working with Facebook on some of their things. Granted, still not simple, but I would say it's definitely a step above when it comes to these things on the bad review side. That's at least a good, easy to follow protocol that Google has. So what we do to keep your reputation up to date. So you want to regularly monitor any online mentions. You want to respond to the reviews. You want to generate more reviews, and you just want to maintain consistency. So it's going to be kind of the biggest things that we're looking at here to maintaining a strong presence. So in terms of monitoring it regularly, and tracking mentions. So tracking mentions in the sense of, hey, if you're getting tagged on Facebook in different groups, and just making sure you're thanking people if they're tagging you for good things, or if there's a bad thing going around a neighborhood group, whatever it may be, and you have to be privy to that response is coming through. Just make sure that you're responding, you're handling it in as a professional manner as possible, getting up in front of it. Because if there's no information, people will just always assume the worst at times. Unfortunately, in this day and age, people don't really typically see the optimistic side of things. So you want to make sure that you're just sharing what information you can, but being as kind as possible. Responding to reviews is crucial, regardless if it's a really good one or a really bad one. You want to make sure you're responding always. It's good for data points with Google. It helps you stay consistent and relevant and build that trust with Google. But also, if a bad review response is not meant for the customer that left the bad review. It's for the people that are reading and filtering. Say they go to your listing, and some people, there's a way to filter just by the lowest reviews. They click on that, and then all the bad ones come up. Now, if they see your responses and that, like, yeah, that person obviously left a bad review of malicious intent or whatever it may be. It's very, very important to be able to see that, rather than, oh, this person only responds to all the 5 stars, but whenever a 1 star or 2 star comes in, they don't say a word. There's just no response there. not the best look. So that's where highly recommend, if you're not doing it, having a provider take care of that and responding to all your reviews regularly. And it's going to be important to create more reviews. Not only would the more reviews create relevance, but if there's anything of poor review on the side of things, that they would just help push things down and stay just like you want newer, better reviews consistently. And that's where consistency is just the name of the game here in terms of reviews, making sure you have a process to create them. Okay. So bad reviews, is it real? So there are a good amount of reviews. I mean, it's the worst when someone just leaves a star and then they don't even leave a comment, the name you don't know. And a lot of the times, for whatever reason, when there's no comment left, sometimes having those removed are difficult because there's just no data for Google to be able to say yes or no of if it's real or not. And so usually they just resign them like, yeah, it was real because there was no comment left. But there's certain things, certain ways that you can rebuttal those and get them taken off, which is showing some sort of evidence for them. Usually that just goes along the lines of, hey, look at, like, we have 3 1-stars that happen within this certain time frame, and we think that it's related to one of these people or whatever it may be. Then that usually helps. But again, try your best not to be emotional when it comes to maybe a truly bad review that came through. It's like, yep, I understand why this person would have done that. Put yourself in their shoes, remain professional. That's just going to be the best thing at the end of the day. That will not result in more negative repercussions taking place outside of that. But to report them. So for those of you that maybe didn't realize that you could report reviews, it's pretty simple within Google. So if you go to your business listing itself, hopefully you are, again, the owner of your business listing. Another thing, I don't think I actually touched on your Google business listing and making sure you manage that. So if you type in your shop name in Google, if you're managing it with whatever email that you're on, right then and there through Google, it should pop up where, like, you can edit the profile, you can do a few things within the business profile. So if it just shows your listing on its own, then whatever email you're logged into does not have access or ownership for that to happen. So if you don't know what email it is, you want to find that out as soon as possible, because not owning your Google business profile is a big deal and a big risk, because a lot of your leads and traffic are most likely coming through Google at this point. Majority of all traffic is coming through there. So you want to make sure you have access and then know what is going on there. But once you have access there, if you just click on your review section within your business profile there, there'll be next to the reviews a report button. You click on the report button, it'll lead you to this screen. So typically the best thing to select that we've seen work the best, the most consistently, is going to be off topic. For whatever reason, no idea why, but that has consistently worked the most often. Like, even like if we run into issues where we put exactly what it was that was wrong, didn't get removed, we labeled it off topic, boom, gets removed. So that's been the best one. I say, regardless, I would always recommend picking off topic and then just explaining what there's after this screen, there's just a little explanation bubble of, like, why is this off topic? And then you just explain why. Sometimes it doesn't even have that. You just click on it, it just sends report, and that's it. That's all you get to send. So, but again, most of the time, this is the one that's going to work the best. So highly recommend always clicking on this one. Ignore all the other ones. All right. And there's also a way to report spam on Facebook reviews for your business page. So I don't know if any of you have gotten these. You get a random review from a random profile, say in Africa, and it leaves us this random words that have no relation to the business. Again, it's a spam review. Those are tricky with, because then you have to work with Facebook to get them removed. But there's a way to that you can turn off reviews if people are intentionally spamming you. So if you go to your settings, privacy, your page and tagging, then you can look at these different filters, make sure that you uncheck the reviewing options here, and then you'll be kind of good to go. You can turn it back on once the spamming stops. But yeah, I would always take a look there. Now within Google, you're able to, I don't know if you've all saw, you're able to link your social profiles to your Google business listing, and thus reviews can get carried over there. So you want to make sure that you're staying relevant, clean reviews on Facebook. Reviews are more important on Google, but still it's getting pulled over now pretty consistently by Google. So just make sure you pay attention to it all across the board. Okay. So yeah, and so now that's gonna, I guess before I segue into a little bit different in terms of your online presence, a different I guess take on it. Any questions so far in terms of reporting fake ones, turning off reviews, bad reviews, how to handle them, things along those lines? Any questions that I can help provide? Hopefully it was pretty straightforward of how to do it. But again, happy to answer any questions that anyone may have on this particular thing. So someone's saying that they've been struggling for months with getting a review removed. They've tried multiple times. Unfortunately, that does happen sometimes. Some reviews just they won't go away, even though you know that hey, like this name does not associate with any customer name in our point of sale system. Like again, it's not a real review, or if it is, you have no idea who it's in relation to at least be able to respond properly. At that point, usually like sometimes if you give it a rest for a couple months and then reply, you may get lucky, you may get it removed. But at that point, I would at least leave a response after you try a few times just to that review itself, saying, hey, I'm sorry, I cannot find this name or anything anywhere, but there's a problem, please give it. But again, you're just treating it for people that eventually read the response. But do not respond to the review until at least you've tried to report it a few times. Because once you respond to it, then it makes it almost builds a legitimacy around the review itself. And then I've seen just it tends to Google does not take those away because like it doesn't say straight up why it happened, but I've seen typically the ones that have responses already to them that it's hard to then get those removed. So I'll try to remove them first before then going the route of then responding to a bad one. That is obviously fake. If it's a real one, then nothing that can be done. Make sure you're responding to this right away. Okay. Perfect. So yeah, I'll go into a little bit of just how to make a positive first impression. So in terms of protecting your presence for ensuring that you're organic and real. So if any other business or things are trying to pretend that it's you or whatever it may be, how to create that good organic impression. And so you want to make sure that you're optimizing websites, you're highlighting your reviews, engaging your social media. So these three things across the board will give a good feel of who you are as a business. And again, it'll make it hard to then be impersonable. So the customer contact journey, this is just kind of the basic customer engagement cycle of connection, interaction, satisfaction, retention, commitment. So again, what it comes down to at the end of the day is just being real and organic to what your shop's values are, what you all believe in. Community work is a big thing to be able to do and being and engaging. You know, at times it's difficult to find time to do so, but it is a huge it does make a big impact, and then not hesitating to share that on social media as well goes a long way. And just in building that organicness where again if a bad thing comes through, that people can quickly know that okay, now that there's more to this story, if anything, or it's not real at all, just based on the overall brand image that you've created. So yeah, that transparency, authenticity, consistency is going to be crucial. So it just fosters a better open, honest relationship with your community. So I would just highly recommend just being real. Someone mentioned I've neglected being friendly face for my shop. How can I turn this around for past clients, or should I focus all on new clients? That's a really good question in terms of can anything be done in the past? So it's tricky because things that happened in the past may not be reviewed as often. So for example, if like, hey, I haven't responded to Google reviews in like 2 years. There's people that have never responded to any Google reviews. You go on there and you see that nothing has been responded to. They're like, should I go back to the beginning? I don't think there's any need at this point to go back to the very, very beginning. It's a long time ago. And so, but I would at least say within, say, a 6-month window of prevalence, try to start responding to those as much as you can. And then definitely making sure that continues to happen as each and every new customer comes in, because now you want to go back a little bit, but there's no need to go back too far. There's almost at that point, no one's looking, no one cares. So you want to make sure you're just now putting your best foot forward for the future. Okay, so good question. So impact on business growth, just making sure that you're managing these things across the board. They're getting responded to. I think we already dabbled on that, because overall, when that takes place, your lead generation just becomes more positive. People see these like simple things like review responses, how you responded, and they're like, oh my goodness, these people go out of their way to even support people when they had this little nitpick in their review. And if something like that happens to me while I'm there, I know that they would go out of their way to help me. So there's gonna be little things like that as you build that consistency of how you speak with people, both online as well as in person, that easily gets felt. Word of mouth happens there typically as well. So you want to make sure that you're applying those different aspects. So, and again, I can't say enough to leverage social proof, like putting in those Google reviews, like in social media posting, putting them on your website, just showing that yes, these are real people that have left real responses. Even more powerful than that, get video testimonials from them, like so people can see them at the shop, get a feel they're saying things positive. So because I mean, words can only go so far sometimes, and so that's where having a video can be a very powerful tool, in terms of just really protecting your online presence, in the sense of these are people that have come in that we've taken care of, that love us, and you'll love us too, in a sense, if you come to our shop. So making sure that you're doing all those applications consistently. Okay. And like we already talked about in terms of crisis management, the best thing to do is just going to be at least, I look at it every day, but at least once a week, maybe peek at your social media. Make sure that like everything that's going on in there makes sense. Like the messages that are coming through are in fact spam. I mean, usually you can set up a notification alert just to your phone of messages, and you can quickly see just the highlight beginning of the message like, yeah, that's spam, or no, it's a real person that's reaching out asking about something through social profile. For us, what helps is we link all social media messages into our CRM, so then that way both texting as well as like social media messages or Google messages are all linking to one place that we monitor for our folks. And that just kind of helps making sure that, again, that consistency of response is taking place, but just have some sort of mechanism and process that helps breed that. So then when crisis does take place, you then now kind of know the steps that you need to go through to do and reach out. Again, if it happens through Google, say your listing gets suspended, there's going to be a process that you have to go through with Google that you unfortunately just have to be patient through. There's such documents and things that they have you submit. Just it's all laid out there. Make sure you just submit those as quickly as possible, send it to them, see if there's anything else that can be done. Finding if you have connections that happen to work at Google as well, definitely helps in terms of just helping speed up the process a little bit. But overall, again, just calmly going through a plan to go over these things will be the best plan of attack. Okay. I guess we already talked about the importance of a strong online presence. 90% of customers, as we are, like they read online reviews before buying or going to the shop. So you want to make sure that you are getting the right reviews and then responding in the right way to just overall protect your presence. So yeah, that's going to be everything in terms of both protecting. I know we kind of talked on almost two separate things in the sense of actual technical security things of protection of your data in terms of being hacked and making sure that's prevented, along with protecting your social image just by being real and organic. And so over time, people know the real you, the real shop, the real brand. There's no questions on if like one thing communication wise is being said, that then you're like, no, that was definitely not us, and people know quickly like, yeah, that was definitely not them, that's unlike them a lot. So they kind of give you that good leeway there. So, but any other possible questions today? I think thank you all for again being here and sharing your thoughts. But is there any other questions that any of you have? Well, as you have them, again, I'm peeking at the chat to make sure I'm not missing any. But if you want to book a free strategy session with us. Again, please do. We can review your online presence. We can review some of the things we talked about in terms of just double checking that you have all your kind of your social media protections on, and just overall that you're ranking well, that you're growing in the way that you want to grow. And so if you go to our website and go to, there's a book a strategy session button that you go to our contact us link, you can book a meeting with us, as well as if you call our line 877-733-3446. It'll direct you to us as well and our team to make sure that we get you on our calendar, and we dedicate a good hour-long meeting to you to make sure that we review everything that we've researched and anything that may be going on, and then our best kind of plan of attack as a team that we would embark on if we happen to be a fit where you're like, yep, I'm tired of managing marketing now. Please go ahead and take care of it. Okay. There's a free marketing checklist on our website as well. If you go to go.liftautorepairmarketing.com/marketing checklist. I know it's a lot of words, I apologize. But that we have a free marketing checklist on there to double check on and make sure that you're doing all the things necessary online across the board. So it could be a good, quick, easy tool just to make sure that the basics are covered for you online. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and join our Facebook group. If you just type in, you can go to this URL, or you can just type in Auto Repair Shop Owners Mastermind, and then you'll see, it should be this label that's there on the top. Should be around 1,500 owners that are in the group now. Just we drop in and share our thoughts on the marketing side of the world, as well as there's shop owners that either share a highlight or problem that they're dealing with, who has the answers, so on and so forth. So could be a good place to go and leverage other really, really wise and very intelligent shop owners, and can help deal with maybe some of the problems that you're currently facing and how they've dealt with it in the past. And then also we have our book, Drive More Business, which is right there. Can't see it from afar, but here, if you go to Amazon, just type in Drive More Business, you'll see the book there at the top, where we step-by-step guide going through the different aspects of online marketing for your auto repair shop, even screenshots of where to click and go as you go through, just very simple in terms of your Google listing, your website, everything across the board. But yeah, if you're looking for just even more advanced things, please book a call with us and be happy to discuss those elements. But that is everything that I have today. So again, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate the time that you took today to meet with us. But yeah, if you have more questions, please feel free to connect. But hope you all have a great Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.